A heart beneath the uniform. In an old city in Africa, the streets were slowly swallowed by the shadows of evening. Dusty roads, worn and tired, stretched endlessly, and the dim streetlights only emphasized the silence that hung in the air. In this city, the name police often inspired fear, but among them was a man whose story was different. His name was Malik, an ordinary police officer, yet his heart carried something extraordinary: principle and humanity. Malik's uniform bore the marks of time: frayed elbows, loose buttons, and shoes worn thin from endless walking. His salary was so small that by the end of each month, his children often went hungry. Yet, there was one thing in Malik's heart that never diminished: honor and conscience. That evening, as Malik patrolled the streets, he noticed a young boy standing by the roadside. His clothes were tattered, eyes filled with fear, and his hands trembling. Malik stopped and quietly asked, "Where are you going?" The boy remained silent for a moment, then whispered, "Sir, I stole something. My mother hasn't eaten in 2 days." Malik's heart sank. He knew the pangs of hunger. Many nights at his own home had been spent feeding his children only water to help them sleep. His heart urged him to act not just as an officer of the law, but as a human being. At that moment, a shiny car pulled up at the roadside. An affluent man leaned out and said sharply, "Officer, take this. Some notes for you. Let me pass quickly." Malik's hands trembled. This money could have paid his children's school fees, stocked his home with food, and even brought a smile to his wife's face. Yet he returned the money and said firmly, "The law applies equally to everyone." The wealthy man drove off angrily. The boy looked at Malik, astonished. Malik leaned down and softly said, "Tonight, I am letting you go, but promise me you will never walk this path again." The young boy lowered his head, tears filling his eyes, and said, "I promise, sir." That evening, Malik had not only upheld the law, but had saved a young life. In the dust of Africa, his uniform was no longer just a piece of clothing. It had become a symbol of integrity, humanity, and honor. It was in that moment that Malik realized what African tales often teach: even the smallest life carries a great lesson. Poverty and fear may challenge a person, but conscience and honor define true strength. The test of integrity. The following morning, the sun rose slowly over the dusty city, painting the streets in shades of gold and brown. Malik returned to his small police station, his uniform stiff from the previous night's patrol. Yet his heart felt lighter. He knew that justice had been served, not by force, but by compassion. However, life in this city rarely rewards honesty immediately. Within hours, Malik received a summons from his superiors. Whispers had reached the higher-ups that Malik had interfered with an influential businessman. The previous night, the man had complained that Malik had refused his bribe and delayed his journey. Malik entered the office with calm steps, though inside, a storm raged. The room was tense. Other officers exchanged sidelong glances, some smirking, some curious. Malik had always been known as a man who followed the rules, yet they had never understood the weight of his choices. "Officer Malik," the chief began, "we've received complaints about your conduct. Refusing lawful authority and delaying a prominent citizen. Explain yourself." Malik stood tall, despite the unease in his stomach. "Sir," he said, voice steady, "I did not delay anyone without reason. The law applies to all, rich and poor alike. No one should bypass justice with money." A murmur ran through the room. Some officers scoffed. Others were silent, unwilling to challenge him directly. Malik's words were simple, but they carried a power stronger than threats or intimidation. Truth spoken from the heart. Meanwhile, back on the streets, the young boy from last night returned home with a glimmer of hope. The memory of Malik's eyes and his unwavering decision filled him with courage. For the first time in days, he felt the warmth of trust and the promise of redemption. At the station, the chief sighed. "You are an honorable man, Malik, but your honor comes at a cost. Be careful. Not everyone respects those who refuse the easy path." Malik nodded. He understood the warning. Integrity was not easy. In a city where power and money often spoke louder than conscience, standing by your principles could bring scrutiny, envy, or even danger. Yet he also understood something far more important: the soul cannot be bought, and justice cannot be silenced. As night fell, Malik walked back to his modest home. The city seemed quieter, as if it respected his courage. His children were asleep, their small chests rising and falling peacefully. Malik knelt and whispered a prayer of gratitude for his family, for his conscience, and for the lesson that sometimes the hardest path is the one that preserves your soul. That night, under the African stars, Malik realized something profound. True integrity is tested not when things are easy, but when wealth and power try to sway the heart. The weight of truth. Days passed, But Malik could not forget the events of that night. The young boy's trembling hands, the desperate eyes, and the bribe that had fallen, untouched to the ground, all replayed in his mind like a haunting melody. In the heart of Africa, life often tested a person's spirit more than their strength, and Malik was beginning to feel the full weight of truth. At the station, the atmosphere had grown tense. Fellow officers whispered behind closed doors. Some admired Malik silently, while others viewed him as a troublemaker. The businessman he had refused to let pass was powerful and well-connected, and Malik knew that every act of integrity carried consequences. Yet he refused to compromise. One afternoon, the chief called Malik into his office again. "Malik," he said with a stern tone, "your actions are noble, but they've caused unrest. The city's elite are displeased. How do you propose we maintain order if the law is applied equally to all?" Malik looked at him steadily. "Sir, the law is not meant to favor the rich over the poor. Justice is not measured by money or influence. If we bend for wealth, the people lose faith, and we lose our souls." The chief was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed, a mix of frustration and reluctant respect. "Perhaps you are right, but understand this. Choosing truth is a lonely path." That evening, Malik returned to the streets. The boy from the night of the theft was there again, carrying a small bundle of food for his mother. Their eyes met and no words were needed. Malik saw hope, resilience, and gratitude in the boy's gaze. For a brief moment, the weight of the world seemed lighter. As Malik walked home, memories of his own childhood flashed before him. Nights of hunger, the fear in his mother's eyes, and the countless times life had demanded he be strong even when he felt broken. He realized that the uniform he wore did not give him power. It gave him responsibility, the responsibility to act with courage, fairness, and compassion, even when it came at a personal cost. In the quiet of his small home, Malik knelt to pray. The city slept, unaware of the silent battles fought by those sworn to protect it. And Malik understood something profound. Truth is not a gift freely accepted by the world. It is a burden carried by the brave, a light that shines even in darkness, and a shield for those too weak to defend themselves. That night, under the African sky, Malik promised himself no wealth, no threat, no fear would sway him from the path of integrity. For in this city, where darkness often overshadowed hope, one man's unwavering truth could become a spark that inspired many. Shadows and lessons. The city had a rhythm all its own. The streets, once quiet, now carried the whispers of gossip, fear, and respect. Malik's actions from the past weeks had spread through the city like the wind, unseen yet felt by everyone. Some officers admired him silently, while others eyed him with suspicion. In a world where corruption and greed often overshadowed justice, Malik's unwavering integrity stood like a solitary tree in the desert, visible, unshakable, and resolute. One evening, Malik received a call. A local shopkeeper had reported a theft, a desperate act born of hunger. Malik rushed to the scene and found the boy from weeks ago, trembling and ashamed, holding a loaf of bread. His eyes met Malik's, filled with fear and remorse. Malik knelt down and spoke gently. "Why, my child?" The boy's voice cracked. I had no choice. My family, we were starving." Malik's heart ached. He remembered his own childhood, the nights his mother had prayed silently for food, the cold that seeped through the walls, the hunger that gnawed at his stomach. He realized that life often forced the weak to make impossible choices. Instead of punishment, Malik extended a hand. He helped the boy carry the bread back to his home. That night, he did something more than enforce the law. He taught compassion, responsibility, and hope. Justice, he knew, was not just about rules, it was about guiding hearts. But life never rewards courage without testing it. The wealthy businessman, still bitter from Malik's refusal of the bribe, sought to make an example of him. Reports were sent to higher authorities, questioning Malik's methods. He was summoned yet again, and this time the pressure was heavier. "Malik," the chief said, looking weary, "your methods are causing unrest. People say you favor the poor over the influential. How do you justify this?" Malik looked directly into the chief's eyes, voice steady yet gentle. "Sir, the powerful already have protections. The weak, they rely on people like us. If we fail them, we fail not just the law, but humanity itself." The room fell silent. Even his critics felt the weight of his words. There was no arrogance in Malik, only truth. In that silence, an unspoken lesson settled over everyone. Integrity is rarely easy, but its impact echoes far beyond any fear or threat. As night fell, Malik walked home under the African sky, stars glittering like distant promises. He saw the city differently now, not as a place of corruption or fear, but as a place where even a single act of honesty could light the darkest corners. He paused, whispered a quiet prayer, and smiled softly. For Malik knew, one life touched, one wrong prevented, could ripple into hope for thousands, and in Africa's dusty streets, he was determined to be that spark. The heart of the uniform. The city had begun to feel different to Malik, the whispers of respect now mixed with awe. Though he still walked the same dusty streets in his worn uniform, people began to notice the difference between a man of principle and a man of power. The uniform he wore was no longer just a badge. It had become a symbol of hope, integrity, and humanity. That afternoon, Malik was called to a small neighborhood where a crowd had gathered. A wealthy man's reckless driving had injured a street child, and the locals were angry. Fear and resentment hung thick in the air. Malik stepped forward, his presence commanding both attention and calm. "Let the child be taken care of first," Malik instructed firmly. "Then turn to the driver. No one is above the law, not even you. You will answer for your actions." The man scoffed, flaunting his wealth. But Malik's steady gaze left no room for argument. In that moment, the city witnessed the power of a man whose authority came not from money or influence, but from truth and courage. Later, Malik returned to the small alleyways where the young boy had once been caught, stealing bread. He found the boy again, now carrying water and helping the elderly. Their eyes met, and a silent understanding passed between them. Malik saw what his actions had inspired, not fear, but responsibility, growth, and gratitude. As night fell, Malik walked through the city alone. He thought of the many who had tried to sway him, rich businessmen, powerful officials, even some fellow officers, but he remained unmoved. His life was simple, yet rich in purpose. Integrity, he realized, cost more than money, but its value was immeasurable. At home, Malik knelt beside his children, their small hands clasped in his. "Remember," he whispered, "true strength lies in doing what is right, even when it's hard. The world may try to teach you otherwise, but honor is what lasts beyond wealth and power." The boy who had stolen the bread came to mind again. Malik smiled, knowing that small acts of guidance could ripple through a lifetime. In Africa's harsh yet beautiful streets, one honest man could create a chain of hope that reached far beyond what anyone could see. And that night, beneath the African sky glittering with stars, Malik felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that his path, though lonely and challenging, was worth every step. Every life touched, every injustice corrected, every young heart inspired, it all made the burden of integrity lighter. In the rhythm of the city, under the soft hum of distant drums, Malik understood the truth. The heart of the uniform beats strongest when it carries justice, compassion, and humanity. Africa's lesson. The city slept under a blanket of stars, but Malik's heart remained awake, reflecting on the journey of the past months. Every choice he had made, refusing bribes, protecting the weak, teaching responsibility, had shaped not only his life but the lives of countless others. The streets, once filled with fear, now whispered stories of integrity, hope, and courage. That morning, Malik visited the neighborhood of the young boy he had saved months ago. The boy had grown more confident, helping his family and even guiding younger children. He ran toward Malik, eyes bright, and said, "Sir, I remembered what you taught me. I worked honestly, and my mother is no longer hungry. Thank you." Malik smiled, his eyes glistening. It was in moments like these he understood that the true measure of a life was not wealth or recognition, but the lives one touched and the hearts one changed. Later at the station, the chief called Malik again. This time there was no sternness, only a quiet acknowledgement. "Malik," he said, "you have taught us more than any lecture, more than any rule. You've shown that the law is alive when tempered with humanity." Malik nodded. He knew the path he had chosen was never easy. Friends had doubted him, the rich had scorned him, and sometimes the world seemed set against the truth. Yet he also knew that courage and integrity were the most powerful weapons a person could wield. As dusk fell, Malik walked the streets of the city one last time that day. The African wind carried distant drumbeats, the hum of life, and faint laughter. He saw children playing freely, mothers smiling, and the boy he had once saved waving at him. It was a reminder that every action, no matter how small, could spark hope in a community. Malik paused beneath the wide, open sky. He whispered a prayer, not just for his family, but for the city, for the children, and for every soul striving to do right in a world that often chose wrong. He understood now that Africa had taught him the most important lesson of all. Wealth may vanish, power may fade, but honor, courage, and the choice to act rightly will echo across generations. That night, Malik returned home. He removed his worn uniform, but the heart of the uniform, the values, the conscience, the unwavering humanity, remained alive inside him. Africa had given him a city of lessons, a people of resilience, and a story that would live long after he was gone. And in the silent African night, with stars shining above, Malik knew one truth forever. A man of integrity may walk alone, but he carries the light of hope for countless others.